Hey, this is Chris. How you doing? Getting ready to start on the first leg of what will be many legs on my new fence. So as you can see, I've laid out a couple 2x4s on the ground and then put my first two posts on top of them so I have a somewhat stable platform to work on. If you notice, I've got these two marks. Got this mark here and this mark here. Those lines are 2 foot 6 inches, which is how far the posts are going to stick into the ground. And so I'll be digging the holes about 2 foot 8, 2 foot 10, something like that. They're going to be good and deep. That's going to provide plenty of back and forth support to the posts. The lateral support I'm not worried about because they're going to have concrete in between them. So the concrete will run, and you'll see when I start to do the forms, the concrete's going to run between here and here. It's going to be a solid panel. So a big rectangular panel of concrete is going to be in between those. And so what I'm going to do now is attach the 2x12s that I'm going to use for the forms, and then I'm going to reinforce those. And then I'm going to dig the holes, and I'm going to set this thing up and plumb it up, level it up, stake it off, and then we'll be ready to go tomorrow with the concrete. So stand by, we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, hopefully you can see that, I've got one end screwed off. And, oops. It's very important to have one of these. The square, a framing square would be better, it's much bigger, but you know, this isn't exactly precision work here. I mean, as long as it's close. But I put my square up there and I can see that this edge right here is perpendicular to that edge, and so that's good enough for me. So I come over here and I put my mark, that line right there, right on there. Now when you're putting screws into the end of a board, especially screws of this size, you'll probably find, let me just make sure I'm still in focus, yes. You'll probably find that it will split the wood. So what you want to do, well, there's two choices. You can drill a pilot hole. In this case, about an 1/8 of an inch hole would be good, or less. Just something to break the grain. But you can also put your driver in reverse and holding it firmly, running it backwards, penetrate in about half the distance there, and then click it over into forward. And drive that screw right in there, and see it didn't crack at all. It never will. You just have to get through like a half of the layer of the board to make sure you don't, because otherwise if you just like went to screw this in there, this would almost certainly split right here and ruin the integrity of the board. Okay, so that looks good. Put our square back on here to check this top, and it is good. And so I will put the other two screws in, and so of course now we are going to repeat this process 5 more times. Got 2 more boards to put on this side, so we'll put one here and here, and then we'll flip the whole thing over and do our marks again on the other side, just like we did here, and put 3 more boards on the other side, and that's basically the form. The only thing we have to worry about is that see how much that flexes, even just as I even just put a little pressure with my foot. We're going to have to reinforce that with some 2x4s. If I'd gotten some 2x12s, we probably wouldn't have to do that. But if you know how much 2x12s are these days, you know, well, how about the shelving board instead? So it is cheaper in the long run to get the cheaper boards for the initial forms and then brace it up, rather than buying 2x12s. And even 2x12s will flex a little bit. You know, concrete exerts a lot of force when it's wet. And so that's what you're trying to plan for. You're trying to plan that that liquid does not overcome your forms and cause it to bulge out at all. So that's the end goal right here. So let me get these other boards on this side, and I'll show you that when it's finished. All right, as you can see, we have, hold on. You can't see, can you? Oh, there we go. We have the three boards on this side, excuse me, screwed in, and we used our square to square it up as best we could. Double check the measurements here, 48 inches there, 48 inches there. And so that's close enough. For this kind, I mean, the way and it will reveal itself as the construction unfolds. I don't really have to make sure that this is absolutely square. If I did, I'd be a lot more careful with my measurements and my screwing off. Just as an aside, to check the square of something, you do a cross measurement. Put your tape on there, it's about 59 inches. Put your tape on there. It's a little bit, it's 58 and 7/8. So we're a little bit out of square, but that's okay, because when I set this form into the ground, what I'm going to do is I'm going to level up the posts. I'm going to plumb up the posts. In other words, I'm not really going to worry about, is this perfectly level? I'm more concerned, are these posts perfectly plumb? And I'm going to get everything as close to plumb and level as possible. But again, it's just a fence. If it was a house, I'd be a lot more precise in what I was doing. But this is going to work out just fine. Alrighty, let's flip this thing over and get these other three boards screwed on the other side. Okay, so you can see I've got both sides formed up. It is so hot out here, I can't believe it. We had a one-day reprieve yesterday, and it rained all day, of course. So I'm going to go inside now, because I don't feel like doing it anymore, because I'm sweating to death. But anyway, to recap, these legs go in the ground, this will sit on the ground, and then as I need to, I will level it up and plumb it up, and then the concrete, let me see here, can you see that? Yes, you can. The concrete will be poured down into this space right here. And so that's the plan. Excuse me, I'm a little bit winded, I'm a little bit tired, because I worked all morning and then I came home and did this. But anyway, that's the basic plan. We're going to reinforce this. I got some 2x4s over there. We'll probably run a 2x4 at the bottom, at this joint, and at this joint, and maybe at the top as well, all the way around the perimeter of that form, just to make sure we don't get any bulges, we don't get any blowouts. I'm sure we won't get any blowouts, but this wood is not, as you can see, terribly stiff, and so I want to make sure that when I pour the concrete in it, this doesn't, push apart and make a mess. So anyway, that's the plan for now. We'll get back with you tomorrow, and we'll do the next phase. Got any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Like and subscribe. We appreciate when you do. We'll see you on the next one. Hey, this is Chris. Okay, so I've got the form built. Remember from yesterday, I told you I was going to reinforce those boards right here, because they're a little thin, so I put these at every joint and at the bottom. Some 2x4s turned sideways. I don't expect that much pressure, so I think this will work out just fine. So we've got our holes. Of course, I ran into trouble digging the holes. I got down, hit some big rocks. Can't get around them. So what I've done, you can see I've really oversized these holes. So I'm hoping that that will make up for the lack of depth, and we will find out when we get finished, right? One good thing for this end is that I'm going to tie the end of this wall into this piece of angle iron that's been here for 20 years. And it's in the ground really well. So We'll tie those two together with some concrete. And so that'll make, at least, I know this corner absolutely will be stable. See how I got that? Got my C-clamp on there, got that screwed off right here so it can't move. Only as much as that angle iron is going to bend, which is about 1/8 of an inch. That's about it. So anyway, I'm going to pour this. And then tomorrow or the next day, I'll strip these forms, and all we'll have left, I'm going to put some rebar in here to drill a couple holes in the side and stick some number 3 rebar into both sides to hold that concrete. That'll hold that concrete up in between the 2x4s and keep it from being able to move back and forth. And so, yeah, it is hot, H-O-T-T, out here today. I can't believe it, but this has got to be done today because it's my only day off. So we'll get back to you when we finish pouring. Talk to you in a minute.